Hey, good evening, guys. Just a quick update from today. Obviously took QQQ. We'll touch on that here in a second. But obviously started Lulu today. Did exactly what I said. We kind of got this 3-bar trendline breakout. Nothing super drastic. As I said, though, it was a confluence of many things. Cleared the 9 and the 20-day moving average here, just above 176.18. 176.18 was also our earnings candle high. Basically opened, pulled back, right? So opened low, and then we got a high and a close, which pretty much was a hammer. So really nice look on the daily for potential continuation. I would have liked to have seen more volume, right? Just indicating there was a strong buyer here off of the bottom, and then obviously close high, meaning that they were consistently bidding up and not letting price fall down. We'll see what this ends up bringing in the next couple days, couple weeks, but just started shares on this one. I wanted to start the January 2027, but open interest on that, and I said this yesterday during my video, that the open interest, the bid-ask spread on this is very, very poor, right? There was about 120 open interest for leaps, which is pretty weird. I would have thought there was more. I think there was some more in the January 2026. Could have played those, but I think 2 years time is probably better, especially if we were looking for something into 330, which is obviously this gap fill around here, right? But for 206, I just felt taking shares was likely the best outcome, right? It's about a 16% move, 17% move, give or take. And then, if we could finally get out of the stage one base and start to really build out support against 206, or if we fill this and we start to consolidate in some kind of flag formation slightly under, or like I said, above, then I'll probably start to look at some other stuff, and I think there will be a reinvigoration of interest where we'll likely start to see those leaps being purchased. It is bittersweet, or a little bit of downside to that. They will be a bit more expensive. So, at that point, you might need to not go 2 years out, maybe like a year and a half, 6 months, and have some kind of a shorter time frame outlook. But this name looked pretty good. UNH still looks fantastic, right? Mentioned here, this looks like a cup and handle, with the cup kind of being here, the handle being current price action from Wednesday to current day. And if a lot of people don't know, if you struggle figuring out where that candle is going to be, you can always pull your fibs, right? So I wish I had different colorways for this one, but let's see if we can change that actually. We'll just make it red for the whole thing, okay? We'll get rid of the 0.5. Actually, 0.5 is pretty healthy. So you guys can see, right, we had a nice little move up. It's just shy, so technically a lower high. So we want to see a higher low be put in mitigation as it's selling down. And as you guys can see, the volume here was very, very clean, very mitigated, and it's essentially pulling right down into the discount zone from this last impulsive move up. Looks like a higher low has been placed in right off like the 0.5, so right at our discount range, and it even tapped down into the 618, which is kind of that sweet spot. So, this looks good to go, guys. This looks good to go. Still holding shares, still holding my December contracts or November or whatever I have. Next phase of this really would just be, a pop off of this, look for a new high, maybe a pullback in base of that high, and then we attack this high up here from September 12th, September 11th, right? And then look for a continuation over that into that 380 gap, right? 378.75. If we open relatively close to the highs here, I actually might add a few more contracts. So let's say we get a green open, right? We pull back and start to go green to red, and then we manage to hold against that hammer candle. We see a strong buyer off of that one, right? I think that this would be an opportunity to potentially add for the continuation off of the hammer. So if it gives us something like this, green to red ends up holding, right? And we still go back green on the day. I think that's kind of the play right there, where I might add like another 3 or 4 cons. We'll see where we open tomorrow. But chart looks really good there. No real update on that. So that's the one thing I didn't have on the video from the weekend. Just pull your fibs on that one, especially for cup and handles. I don't really trade patterns. You guys kind of know that. But cup and handles are nice because it usually starts with a big move up. The cup, right, kind of forms out as a higher low, and then the handle is essentially the second consecutive higher low within that formation, right? So this looks really good, and then you can pull your discount range for the ideal or optimal entry on that. So this looks really good tomorrow. Intel looks really good as well. This is the trade that I was trying to do on Friday. I thought it would be kind of a sick zero DTE play where we saw a potential shooting star up here or a spinning top, right? I was kind of playing what it could be on Friday. Closed in sort of a spinning top, and we were looking for a pullback into 34, so 33.99. Of course, we got the move on Monday, so the next day, so that lotto obviously didn't work out, but still came down into the price that I was looking for. Only issue with this one is it is a little extended from the 9 and the 21, right? So I don't use these all the time as a barometer, but kind of getting a look into the trend and then how far away we are for pullbacks. This still has an opportunity to sell a little bit deeper into like 31, 39, which is this big footprint candle here, which was our breakout. And essentially, right, that's our biggest volume in a really long time. I would expect it to potentially backtest that open. So, saving a little bit of buying power for a pullback into 31.78. If you guys, relate to the move, this 34 spot could be the last marker on it. There's a lot of flow coming in for 37s in December. 37s into January. So this name is still lucrative. It's still attractive from a big money perspective and trying to buy the pullbacks on this for potential continuation. Luckily, we're still up about 25% on the position. I'm up 180 to 200% still on the options for December. So, I don't really have too much of a rush to pull this, but if we do see maybe like a little bit of consolidation here and a definitive bottom against 34, I am thinking about adding some December or January 37 calls, and once again 37, I'm targeting this swing high here as well as this gap fill from back here at 37.63 that never got tagged. Kind of a sneaky one where it kind of pushed into the gap itself and then faked out and came lower. So we'll see. If we can have some kind of consolidation against this. I talk a lot about, windows of non-strength. Technically, we have a window of non-strength, so if this name can uphold really well against the broader market and the flows not being backed into a lot of, individual assets, I think this name could be a really good opportunity if it can just hold here until like October 6th, October 10th, so 1 week from now. And like I said, just kind of chop around here, have a definitive floor against 34 for the next week or so. I think this is a great add opportunity to then add into the Vana charm that will kick in October 10th into that October 17th OPEX, right? Not a quarterly OPEX, it's nothing crazy, but we could have flows kind of return and then this slowly guide itself up as the market gets rid of some of that froth, right? So this name's still one of my top focuses. Obviously, I have a big position in this one. Same with UNH. Now, other one, right, is QQQ. I said in the chat this morning, shorts have not been the play. As you guys can see, shorts, have worked here and there. They're more spot trades, right? If you have like an extended move up at the beginning of the week or, overnight news, you could catch a short for like a 1 or 2 day event. But for the most part, swing trading on this thing has been poor, right? We kind of know that. I took that SPY loss, and I still think end of September, beginning of October, wherever this little bit of weakness ends up occurring at, is still a dip buy. A lot of the positioning, in my opinion, is a front run for November, December, January. Obviously, beginning of the week, this is one of my favorite weeks to trade, JOLTS plus NFP. Typically, we see the NWOGs play pretty consistently. If you guys have been in the Discord, I've been doing these for a long time now with a relatively high success rate. So this ended up gapping up, right? So what we're looking for is a weekly gap to the downside, right? Because we're moving up. What we're looking for is signs of distribution at the highs. You never know where that's going to be. I kind of had a broad kind of gauge around 602.87 into 603. And I was pretty much just waiting all morning. I wanted us to grind higher on Monday, start to fizzle out, and then start the position and potentially add at the close. I would have added at the close if this finished in a shooting star, so a little bit stronger near the lows. Obviously, a little bit of a buyer stepped up end of day, so I just held what I had. I was up about a 23% or something like that at the highs for the position. But yeah, super easy NWOG here, right? Let's remove some of the EMAs. You guys can see here, right? So off the open, kind of held against pre-market lows. We ripped up to the highs. We consolidated for, about an hour or so. wicks to the upside, so showing some kind of seller there. I was looking at level 2 as well, and there was some kind of sell wall right around 602. We tapped into a little bit by about 5 cents and saw an instant rejection and close under. Did it a second time, did another time, and the spread on the candle started to get tighter and tighter with volume really kind of drying out. There wasn't going to be a breakout, right? And as we started to break down underneath these lows here, that's when I took the position. We obviously melted down. I would have taken this for Friday, but there's always that odd chance that jolts tomorrow morning at 5:30 comes in, market goes up one more time, right? Let's say it kind of rips higher. This still could be a lower high from like an hourly perspective, right? And a lot of people would likely panic if you had Friday options. Those would kind of obviously deteriorate rather quickly. So I went with a week extra of expiration just in case that does happen and we do see some kind of gap up or a move up. I can add here again, risk relative to these highs or the 603 highs, and then add into that position more, and then give it time to get to NFP on Friday, right? Which is where we usually see the result of that distribution or that accumulation. In this case, like I said, distribution with the NWOG to the upside here. So yeah, I really like the chart here. Like I said, about 20% or 18% or something at the close. So yeah, just kind of waiting to see what happens with jolts tomorrow. I would love for this to, come down and just give us a definitive answer. If this were able to sell down into like 596, technically, yeah, 596 flat, 595, 97, however you guys want to round that off. I would prefer that happen early on, and then I can focus all my attention on INTC, UNH. I really don't want to be looking at too many different charts. I want to study INTC's price action, and if it can consolidate against 34, I want to be looking at UNH and on for that, that green to red kind of open, and then buyers be able to maintain the green, right, kind of open on that, and then continue to the upside. I don't want to have too much looking elsewhere. So that's kind of, my ideal game plan is that tomorrow this plays out. If it doesn't, right, like I said, I'll still trade this. If we do get a pop to the upside, I still have, till next Friday, October 10th, aiming for 596. But we'll need to see what ends up happening with these. But I do have a pretty big position in this one. I haven't really been trading the downside at all, really, in the past like 2 weeks. Obviously, I traded the INTC on Friday, but that was like with $100 each time. Yeah, that's really all I got here. Let's take off the extended hours as well. I haven't really seen this. I mean, pretty much the same exact thing, right? I kind of saw the fizzle out here, pull down, lower high, pull down, potential lower high. Maybe it sweeps out this 599.50 high. And like I said, kind of comes up here. And this is where it's important to also draw your fibs, right? If we take it from swing high to the current low, there is potential for a pop from jolts to go up into the 618 at like 600. The implied move this week was right around, I think it was a 0.5%, right? So we should see 592 at the lower extreme, 602-ish at the highest extreme, and we already hit 602. So I really think that we just trade to the lower parameter of this, or lower band of the implied move. So 592 is quite a bit away. I don't know if they'll let those go in the money. So 597 is kind of that sweet spot in between. I just like the NWOG target as well. I always kind of take those. So we could get a little bit excess spillage underneath. I'll probably be fully out of the trade at 596, but yeah, we'll have to see what tomorrow brings with jolts. One more time, if jolts ends up sending us higher, I'll be looking to add into this around the 618. If it goes a little bit higher, maybe just see if there's a lower high that fizzles out just shy of 602. I'll add into it again and keep a risk either around these highs or these highs, just kind of gauging off of volume and some of the prints on like the 15 or the hourly. Not going to be in too much of a rush or be too emotional or dramatic on this one, but that's really all I got, guys. I every single Jolts NFP week, I look for these NWOG accumulations or distributions. It's just something that I do. It's for backtest purposes, but it's also something that works really well. And I'm not going to shy away just because the shorts haven't been working. It's something that I trade very, very often. It's part of my repertoire, or you guys, my arsenal is probably a better word. So I'm not going to shy away from this when it ends up showing its hand, especially as apparent as this one here. So I think that's good to go. Hopefully that covered everything. Just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. I will be in chat tomorrow. I kind of,
whether we gap up or we sell down, I'll be kind of giving my thoughts and ideas in the pre-market chat. I'll obviously be in the chat as well tomorrow. Things have kind of simmered down in the personal life. Grandfather is good, so thank you guys once again for the condolences. I really, really appreciate it. A lot of people reached out, and I wasn't expecting that, so very cool. It means a lot. There's a reason we built a kind of like a little community here, man. So I really, really appreciate it. That's gonna be it. I think I'm gonna play some games now, kind of chill out, and just wait. It's 9 o'clock, so still got plenty of time until market opens tomorrow. So just gonna wait and see what happens tomorrow at 5:30. So see you guys next time.